So Nemo Racing, Agama, Island RC, CML distribution. This package is awesome. I have no issues. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, just a very quick disclaimer. This is a driver's review of this awesome machine. This isn't a fully in-depth on every component. It's been out a little while now. So I'm just going to give you my thoughts on how it drove, box stock, box fresh. Enjoy the video. Welcome back to the Shawnee RC YouTube channel, and today we're doing a review on this, the Agama N1E. Just look at that. If that doesn't scream race car, I don't know what does. So today we're going to do some laps with this. I'm going to let you know my first thoughts on the car, how it feels. Completely box stock. We have no options on this whatsoever. Let's have a little look under the hood, see what we've rigged this up with, and then we'll have a little look at the track to see what we're dealing with, and then we'll go through some footage. I'm excited. So we sprayed this shell in the most recent painting video, so if you haven't seen that, check it out. Really happy with how that come out. Ooh. So let's talk about what we got going on here. We have got the Hobbywing G3 XR8 ESC, lovingly supplied with our Island RC and CML distribution. We have got the SRT BH9027 brushless servo, and we've got the Hobbywing, the latest version 1900 kV motor. Power wise, we've got the Team Corrali 5000 milliamp packs running the 2S shorty pack configuration. If you're wondering why my lead there is so long, with the batteries in this position, it just makes it slightly awkward to get the connectors to get a nice short lead. When I move the batteries forward, I'll be able to run my short lead. In terms of the car itself, it's completely kit. It's got the kit orange grey springs on the front and the kit orange grey on the rear. I haven't even drilled any holes in the wing, guys. This is completely box stock. I haven't actually technically run it yet. I literally just ran it up and down the straight to check the power situation. I'm really excited to get this review underway. We're not going to do much studio talk today, we're just going to get right into the action. So let's have a look at the N1E from Agama. I think it's really important when you're doing a review video to show what we're dealing with the track. So this track here, so it's the typical awesome off-road track. So there's lots of different surfaces on this track. So for example, this corner here, it's had some oil before. So here, once it dries out a little bit, it grips up. And then if we go over here, so as a next example, you know, we've got kind of a bit of kind of wet kind of mud, and then we've got some stony sections, and then some kind of sections where you can see, so proper off-road, you know, there's a few lips and places like that. So this is a really good track to actually get a review because it's got a little bit of everything. So this is not a smooth oil track, you know, this is a proper off-road track. So this double here, as you can see, you know, the lips slightly different in places, and kind of coming up the main straight, it's not super smooth, But my point is, with a track like this, it's got a little bit of everything. So I think my kind of main point with this track walk is that the track's quite inconsistent, but not in a bad way. It's really good for testing the cars out because it gets grippy in places, it's loose in others. You've got the patio, you've got the decking. So it really is quite a multi-surface track, a multi-grip level. So let's get stuck in to the Agama N1E. Let's go. Holy, I am hairy. I've got an extremely molting dog right now, so just ignore the hair. Here's the thing, I lied to you. I do have a couple of little hop-ups on this car, but they're really for cosmetics and wear than option parts. Although there will be some option parts on this car soon. But we've got filthy. The T-Works skid plates front and rear, again just to protect the front and the rear of the chassis, and that's it. That's it. That's the only option part I've got. Also, as a disclaimer, the tyres that I picked for today, I got rid of lots of my old ones, so I just bought some Ogo Tides. Ordinarily they're very, very good, and they were okay, but they're a little bit too hard. Normally this track's been quite abrasive recently, but where it's had quite a bit of moisture recently, it's less so abrasive. So these tyres were a little bit hard. It felt a little bit on the surface as opposed to in the grip, in the surface, but it still went round good. So I'm just gonna go over some very, very quick build things with this car. And I'm pleased to report, there was no issues. I had no issues with this car. It went together amazingly well. I have built an N1 before and that went together equally as well. And I had no issues with the build, everything went together fantastic. The shock system, the cantilevers, no shock towers, it's always a pleasure to build. I'm running the front wing, which comes in the kit on this car. This body shell also comes with the car, but they do have a full thrust body shell as standard, which you can buy separately, which lots of the guys do run. You will also notice, I think around about in one of the races today, I did drill some holes in the rear wing. I actually found that it just gave the car a little bit more rotation. I didn't want to change this too much because it's kind of a box review, but putting those holes into the rear wing, it just gave the car a little bit more rotation on the grippier corners, and it also jumped it even better. So this footage is from the rostrum and it's race footage, so we're straight in with the racing with these reviews. And as you can see from the earlier track walks, that the track is extremely bumpy in places and it's inconsistent grip wise, but the N1E actually glided over the bumps, the wet sections, the dry sections. It really does fly over. There was lots of people when this car first come out and said, oh, I don't know what it's going to be like over bumps. And as you can see in this footage, I certainly had no issues with the bumps and the lips and the kind of jagged edges with the car as it is box stock, which was, you know, a joy to see. You can see sort of coming up the main straight, going over the bumps, it was extremely easy to drive. That corner at the bottom is particularly wet. I opted in this video, the oils that I just went with was my own choosing. I went with a 500 CST in the front and a 700 CST in the rear. On reflection from that, I think that was a little bit too heavy. I think next time out with this car, I'm going to go with probably a 400 450 front and maybe a 500 550 in the rear. I think from my own sort of thoughts and findings that the front of this car naturally feels a little bit stiffer than the rear. So I think the general consensus is to run a thicker oil in the rear just to get that balance in the car. And I certainly felt that on track today. I didn't feel the car was imbalanced at all, having a heavier oil. If that's not the reason why a heavier oil was run in the back of this car, please drop us a comment below. But that's what I think, and that's what I found to work. So this back section's particularly bumpy. and it just glides over there really, really well. You'll notice in this section here when the grip kind of picks up, absolutely no issue with steering. You can put this car really anywhere you want. This big triple here, again, it's just super, super easy. No issues whatsoever with the balance of this car. So for those of you that want to know, I'm running the Hobbywing G3 ESC, and I've got this rigged up with an 18 tooth pinion for the track, thanks to Spinny and a couple of the guys that have already been running these around for quite some time now, so they've done quite a bit of research. So I just started with an 18 and I didn't feel like I needed any more. So as mentioned before, other than a slightly softer tyre, I didn't feel like I wanted anything more out of this car for a box stock. I think there is lots more to come out of it. I think there's a lots I want to try with it, but for building the kit and putting it together and just putting it on the track brand new, I think that's another thing to remember in this video. This kit is not even broken in yet. It's box stock, box fresh, so it's only going to get better. And I think now I've run it, there's a few changes that I'd like to make that's going to make this car even better. I will also say I did dump the batteries. So this was a 10-minute race, and I think about the 8-minute marker, I only made 8 minutes. I think that might be something with the Hobbywing ESC. So I ran my voltage cutoff on the kit setting, which was 3.5 volts, and it seemed like when I checked the batteries on the charger after it dumps, the batteries were around about 3.76 volts per cell, so it still had plenty in there. I think just under load, under power, it was dipping below that 3.5 it was set. I think with the G3 ESC, I think the only way around that from what I've seen on setups is to actually disable that entirely. I think what I'm also going to do is I'm going to get some higher capacity batteries, so we're going to go for some 6.4s or some 6s as opposed to the 5s that's in the car, which is just going to hopefully negate that that kind of battery dying phase that happened. So again, that's nothing to do with the car, that's just an explanation into what I found, because the car was awesome. Like I say, the batteries just dumped at 8 minutes. So 8 minutes is just not long enough, and I was driving it really, really smooth as well. So I think we need to just disable that voltage cutoff, get some bigger milliamp batteries in, and just not worry about it. This was really just a driver's review. As such, it's not going into the car in great detail, and the reason for that is this car's been out for a little while now, so nothing on it is probably something that you haven't seen before. But what I wanted to really get through on this review is my thoughts and feelings on how it drove out of the box, and I've got to say it ticks every box for me. It was a fantastic drive. As just mentioned, the only issues that I had today was the ESC voltage cut out after 8 minutes, but I think we've got the reasons, and hopefully next time that's not going to happen. But that wasn't anything to do with the car. So Nemo Racing, Agama, Island RC, CML distribution. This package is awesome. I have no issues recommending this to you. Thanks for watching. We're going to get some race footage coming up. The next race we're going to have is Tuesday coming, and that's with an LD3 Schumacher, and it's been seriously competitive at my local Tuesday indoor nights. So that's what's going to happen next. I'll see you in the next video.